Okay, good evening to all. On this soggy day with a blues game going on, I'm impressed that we were able to pull this off. So we're ready to go ahead and get our meeting together. So welcome to the monthly commission meeting of the St. Louis Reparations Commission. I'm Dr. Will Ross, Vice Chair of the Commission, subbing for our Chair, Dr. Kayla Reed. We're moving to the point of the commission where we've had substantial community input. We have at least 2 or 3 more months scheduled for community input, and then we move into the stage of actually writing the report. We'll talk about that a little bit more with Dr. David Cunningham here with me. We'll give you an update on that. But I think we're making good progress. After the report is drafted, we'll talk a little bit more about the process. So before we start, I'm going to turn this over to Kimberly Franks, who's going to give us a review of the commission mandate and executive order.
All right, this evening I'm going to read to you Executive Order 75, establishing a community-driven commission to assess the history of slavery, segregation, and other race-based harms in the city of St. Louis. Explore the present-day manifestations of that history and ultimately recommend a proposal to begin repairing the harms that have been inflicted.
Thank you. And so we now invite the commissioners to deliver some comments, their perspectives on where we are and their thoughts about where we are going forward. I'll stay with you.
I just want to thank you all this evening for your persistence in weathering the traffic, the rain, and the parking. So let us count what's going on outside as our ancestors' tears of joy in this work.
Good evening. I am Delisha George. Thank you for those that are able to be here in person with us and to join us online. And thank you all for your support and your input as we navigate this process and continue this work.
Good evening. I'm David Cunningham, and I want to just echo everyone's thanks so far. This seems an especially, probably the most challenging evening to come out to a meeting, so we appreciate your attendance here, and those of you who are watching the live stream. As Dr. Ross was saying, we're at an important point at this point. We're going to talk a little bit more in a bit more detail later in the meeting, but in terms of really trying to move from all of the input that we've been gathering over the past months to a point where we're prepared to work as a collective to build the report that we've been discussing throughout. And so we're excited to be able to share some of that with you today, and obviously to keep working with you all in the coming months.
Hello, everyone. William Foster. Again, just want to echo everybody before me. Thank you all for coming out during this weather, during the traffic. Excited to hear you all's comments regarding the process and any additional comments include in the report. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Gwen Moore. I'm a lifelong resident of St. Louis City, current resident of Penrose Park neighborhood. I'm happy to see you here. It's a small crowd, but it's I'm going to assume enthusiastic crowd. I know you're interested. I was just congratulating 2 of our people in the audience. I said they were real warriors to come out here today, and we appreciate you coming out, whether it's 15 or 1,500. We're going to deliver just the same, regardless.
Thank you, commissioners, for your welcome. We're going to delve right into our agenda, and obviously we won't spend a significant amount of time with this. I want to make sure we get out relatively early before you have additional traffic issues leaving. And so I want to give you an update with Dr. Cunningham on where we are. As I stated at the onset of this, we're well into completing the public input part of our commission report. We've met since a year, so this is actually quite striking that we're a full year into this. As you may have all recalled, we asked for an extension because we really wanted to expand our public responses. They were really riveting, really a lot of personal comments. This means a lot to the public. We would just make sure we had ample time to garner as much of that feedback as possible, and sufficient time to actually bring together stakeholders, scholars in this area who would help us draft the report. The commissioners themselves, we ourselves would actually draft the recommendations. And then we would have the report, penultimate, not the final report, but that draft ready to share with the public before we submit the final report. I think the highlight of these commission meetings is that we've had substantial community input, and we wouldn't want to release a report until we were able to feel confident that we had captured all those comments. There were some powerful narratives. We want to make sure that we fully capture that. After we capture those narratives and the public comment, we would take the input, the reports from our stakeholders, and draft a report. And I want to remind you of the proposed areas for the report. 6 proposed areas: housing, neighborhood and the built environment, education, public health, jobs and the economy, and state violence. We are coming up with a really, I think, an impressive array of scholars, individuals, and our goal is to make sure that this is the recommendations, the report itself will be drafted widely, not just simply utilizing one institution or another. It's really important that we get scholars from across the educational diaspora, and then we'll follow up with the report. And so I'll turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Cunningham, Professor Cunningham. Professor Dr. Cunningham.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think we can say at this point, Dr. Ross just mentioned the 6 areas that we're working within. One of the things that's been guiding our work as we think about report preparation is that we want all of the work that we do to be informed by and to benefit from the voluminous kind of both historical but also analyses of how all of these processes over time have unfolded and how they matter today and how they continue to matter today. So when we're thinking about legacies and inequalities, we really want to be informed by all the detailed work that already exists, focused on St. Louis specifically, but also focused on reparations and the power of reparations in general. Our aim is not to replicate that sort of work. You may see in other kinds of commissions, thinking about California as one recent example, the products are often 500-600 page reports that really move great detail through the particular histories that reparations are intended to address. We're going to be informed by those histories, but we're really thinking of a report that is quite focused. And what I think is going to be one of the things is going to be distinctive about that we keep discussing, as Dr. Ross is saying, is we really want to center the voices and the narratives of you all and of people in St. Louis who have been directly impacted by these histories. And so what we intend to do is focus on these 6 areas and think about a report that is somewhat contained. We're thinking in order of about 100 pages, likely in total, that will include background on our process. So thinking about the executive order that Kimberly mentioned at the outset here, thinking about how reparations are defined and what they're intended to do, so to be informed by work on reparations in general, to think about the work and the process of our commission, and to think about how the history that we're engaging with is, of course, rooted in histories of enslavement in St. Louis. And there'll be an extended section that will focus on that. And as we move into the sections on each of our 6 issue areas, what we've been doing as a way to build this foundation is I and Dr. Ross and our commission chair, Kayla Reed, are part of the report working group. And what we've been doing is building teams that Dr. Ross has been describing here of 4 to 5 leading people focused on each of those areas. And so each of us are going to focus on 2 of those areas with the assistance of these teams of people who are going to really help guide the background of how we're addressing each of the issue areas. But of course, the recommendations that we come up with are largely going to be at the intersection of that background, but most importantly, in the experiences that you all and many other people have been sharing around each of these areas, and how the experience of being in St. Louis generationally and in the present day really intersects with the issues that we're addressing here today. So our aim is to continue to work with these working groups. I think by our next meeting, we'll be in a position where everyone has publicly agreed to be part of these working groups. And so at some point soon, we can share the names of folks who we're working with directly. But we're going to be continuing over the next 6 months to be working with them and to be working with our other working groups focused on narratives and the accounts that you're all providing, and bringing those things together in terms of informing the recommendations that are going to be the centerpiece of our report.
Thank you, Professor Cunningham. And so we're at that stage where we now invite you to provide your public comments, which have been, as I said before, riveting, very deeply personal and moving. And so as you provide your comments, please step forward to the microphone there at the center of the room and share your thoughts with the commission.
He missed one.
Oh, there's no mic there?
He missed it.
There's no microphone
Okay.
there?
I just assumed that was a mic.
All right, this one's
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, you all.
Hello.
Hello, how you doing? Michael Gregory, president of North County, Ferguson, all my life. I just got a question. Y'all can answer it now or just write it down. I got like 2 questions. That's it, no statement, just 2 questions. In the preparation of the report, have the economists come with a calculation on how to quantify the financial cost of harms, theft, and loss of life? And if that people that were directly impacted in a class action lawsuit, there are those who are directly harmed and indirectly harmed. Do you have a start date for the atonement?
So I think you're certainly a valid, your comments are valid about having someone with economic expertise who can really comment and reflect on that. And we have certainly in mind 2 of the nation's leading experts on both income inequality as well as the impact of slavery, who will be guided, who will be informing the commission. So that process is ongoing. We don't have any data, any numbers to share about what's being considered. We're guided by, the national experts and the data that's been shared in both California and other places in Indiana, but we don't have any actual figures, data, or actual comments on how much will be appropriated. So we'll make recommendations, but I want to remind you and all the others that it is the purview of the mayor and the Board of Aldermen to actually make a comment on how much would be allocated. We're going to state, here's what we heard from you and others. We're going to be really emphatic about that. And we're going to cite the literature which would support the recommendations that we're hearing from you and others. And we're going to be, the word was being bold. We were told at our last meeting to be bold. We heard that comment. And so we're going to be bold and present what we think, what we know we've heard and what we think is reasonable. Other commissioners?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So if you don't have questions, please feel free to share your comments and criticisms of what's going on. We're open to all input right now.
Malika Horn, I live in the city of West End. So after the recommendation is submitted, who decides? I mean, whether there will be full reparations or partial or none, and then what department will oversee that activity?
So again, this is a commission that's charged by the mayor. The mayor will have, under usual political operations, and she's going to have that voice along with the Board of Aldermen. So it will be presented to the mayor and the aldermen, and they will then have the final voice on what it will actually be implemented based on what we submit.
Is there any kind of lobbying that residents should be engaged with their alder persons with regarding this, or do we just wait on that decision?
Yeah, I think at this point, we still have 6 months. We're still going to spend 3 months getting public input. And in terms of lobbying, we hadn't thought that about what kind of advice we could offer, other than what we've said all along. This is a public process. This is a public commission. We're representing the public. And so I think that you should follow the path of civic engagement, and that includes lobbying for areas that are impactful to you.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know the commissioners are objective and you're looking at a lot of different things, but the residents, they have a role to play too.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate those comments. Any other thoughts? So I'll just remind everyone of what our process is. We have three committee sessions scheduled, and after that we will we'll continue the writing process, and we hope to have a report that's kind of essentially ready for review, but not full adoption, because we want to have that opportunity to reflect and get the community input. But our plan is still to submit the final report by September, we were given that 6-month extension. So, yeah, by 1st of September, we do plan to submit the report. And as I said before, the report will be handed to the mayor and to the Board of Aldermen. And as you heard from Professor Cunningham, we want to make that report digestible and actionable. So it's going to be a 100-page report with 5 pages devoted to each of those 6 areas that we addressed earlier. And then the rest, a report that's really capturing the narratives. And we really excited that University of Missouri St. Louis has devoted a significant number of those staff members to review our minutes and review the actual recordings and translate that into narratives. So we pretty much have captured everything from the first day. And again, I want to applaud the University of Missouri St. Louis for working with us to ensure that we have not lost anything in this year-long engagement. So I think the process, I want to make sure it's spelled out, that it's understandable to all, so we know the time frame and we know what to expect. So if there are no further comments, I want to turn it back over to the commissioners to offer their thoughts, and we'll start with Gwen Moore and what.
Well, I'll make it short. I just want to thank everybody for coming, and your presence is always appreciated. So thank you.
Again, thank everybody for showing up and coming out. We appreciate all the support. And if you guys have any other thoughts or comments after this session, if you look on the boards, we do have the email for you guys to submit those.
Yeah, I want to just reiterate for a third time how transparent this process has been. We adhere to proper standards regarding sharing of information and following guidelines on open meetings. And we will continue to be that. That will continue to be the case. I also would reiterate that all of us commissioners we're all professionals who are here to represent the community. We have different professional obligations, but we sit here representing the community. There will be no distance between what we're going to recommend and what we're hearing from the community. I think we've had a lot of that in the past. We've had lots of commissions and committee reports that unfortunately were sometimes downright dismissive of community input. We want to be the opposite. And so I just want to implore on you the fact that we've heard you over this past year, and we will honor the passion that those comments were delivered to the commission.
Yeah, and along similar lines, I just want to express appreciation that the importance of resident input came up tonight in the comments, as it has in many other instances here. And, as Dr. Ross and others were saying, there are 2 really key moments where that's going to be important for our process, where initially, as Dr. Ross has said, we're going to treat our recommendations and the content of our report as we share it with you as, in effect, draft recommendations. We really want your feedback then before we finalize the report and submit it. So that's a key point at which we really want to hear in a fine-grained way resident input. And then, as came up also in terms of who's going to be deciding what to do with our report, that's also obviously an important moment where we can offer our recommendations transparently, as Dr. Ross is saying, but beyond that, we're not controlling what actually happens, what gets implemented, what doesn't, and we understand that there are going to be people that will agree with things that we recommend and people who will disagree with some of the things that we recommend, but that's a point to really let your alders and others know, what you think should be done to act on the report that we provide. So certainly we want input throughout the process, but those will be two really key points as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you all as well for coming out. And I also want to add that we are connecting with other commissions, task force, I forgot what, coalitions. Depending on the location, they call themselves something different. So we're not all known as a commission in different cities, but we have made some connections with Kansas City, Evanston, Denver, Detroit to find out also what's working for them and what isn't working, because that's something we have to take into consideration as well, because ultimately we want this to roll up to the federal government, which is where it would really make the most impact. So just understanding that we're not just working in the bubble of St. Louis, we're also trying to connect with others as well to learn from and with, because this is a teachable moment for all of us, right? So again, just asking for your grace as we do that. And as Commissioner Foster shared, we have our email address up here, but also we welcome your own narratives. If there are stories that you or others want to share with us, that is one way to do it as well, through this email address. So please use it, encourage others to use it. As part of our report, we will have a narrative piece for storytelling that speaks directly to the stories of those that are impacted, and that would be the residents, right? So just really understanding that, as has been said so many times already, we want you to really truly believe that we are trying to speak through us for all of us. So not just us determining what to say, but we're trying to also take what's shared with us and convey that as well. So thank you all.
I just want to echo what everyone said about, in terms of being grateful about you all coming out this evening. Your presence is support, your comments are support. Someone asked the question about, should you be lobbying? So like one critical question, I always like to, I was law school educated. I was trained as a lawyer, so I learned the effect of asking a powerful question. So in addition to asking powerful questions here, one of the things, questions that you can take to your aldermanic representatives is, we're going to be making recommendations, and so then it's going to be up to them. So our legislative body and our executive body, our mayor and our board of aldermen, to take action upon the recommendations. We don't know what that action will be, but you can ask them, are you ready to take action? You can be like, yeah, hey, there are going to be some recommendations coming your way this fall. Are you paying attention, and are you ready? So I'll just leave you with that question, and just again, if you all have any questions after you leave, I highly encourage you to take down that email on the screen and be in touch with us.
Thank you. Sure, step up.
Hello, I'm Safia Siobhan, and I was wondering, why was the time changed for this meeting? Who changed it? And it's a big, what is blues game or something? People couldn't park, didn't find parking space, and it was changed, and people also weren't notified of this meeting.
Well, again, we were of course unaware of the Blues game, and we've been told that that future meetings will look closely at that schedule, make sure that this doesn't happen again. The time was changed because the time was changed and the location because we're trying to do our best to respect the schedules of those who are free on the weekends and free on the weekdays. So not everybody. Again, we're trying to ensure that we're covering the time when everybody, at least some people, would be available. There was no intent to change today to disenfranchise anyone. We're just trying to make sure that we've presented times that would hopefully allow as many people as possible to participate.
Actually, Vice Chair Ross, this meeting was not changed. The date on this was not changed. We did have our virtual planning meeting on March 13th, which is a Wednesday. And we do have a standing monthly Wednesday meeting. That is our virtual planning meeting, and that is on the website. And so the meeting was not changed. And tonight's meeting was delayed, understandably, with the weather and the parking situation, which we didn't anticipate. However, we didn't change the time of this meeting as well. But the virtual planning meeting is always on a Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, since you have the mic, can you share
The next
times
meeting.
for our future meetings?
Yes, so, and again, these are currently on the city's website. If there is a change to these dates, that will be indicated on the website as well. But currently, we have April 22nd and May 20th as the April and May meetings. We have the meetings on the website through September, I believe, but those are the upcoming meetings for April and May. And we will update with the location, but we are trying to have them here. This appears to be an easier location to hold the meetings, and that will also be indicated on the website.
Thank you. So I want to thank you all for coming out in the inclement weather and the traffic and everything else to share your thoughts. We're looking forward to seeing you again. Please share the work of the commission, and we look forward to further input. Thank you so much.